Have you ever felt a creeping dread in the dead of night while camping? My name is Tommy, and every year my partner and I retreat to a little-known camping spot nestled high in the mountains. It's our sanctuary, a place where the usual hustle of the world fades into the quiet whispers of nature. This year, however, as we set up our tent and settled in with my parents' elderly dog, something felt amiss. This spot, normally scarce with one or two distant souls, was completely deserted. Not a single hiker, hunter, or fisherman in sight. The stillness was unnerving. As night draped its dark veil over us, the absence of even the faintest rustle of wildlife or distant chatter of campers was palpable. The silence wasn't peaceful, it was oppressive, like the calm before a storm. Surrounded by the dense cloak of mountain air and the thick shadows of towering trees, we felt isolated, vulnerable. Everything was eerily silent, setting a stage for what was to unfold. As darkness draped over our camp, a subtle unease began to take hold. The day had been spent in the usual manner, pitching the tent with practiced hands, gathering wood for the fire, the comforting ritual of transforming a patch of earth into a temporary home under the open sky. The evening unfolded with a jovial atmosphere, the crackling fire casting playful shadows as we shared stories and laughter. The crisp air mingled with the scent of pine and campfire smoke. Yet, as the sky deepened into a darker shade of twilight, a distinct shift occurred. Our little dog, usually so placid and content to curl up at our feet, became a barometer of brewing trouble. He paced restlessly, ears perked and eyes fixed intently on the opaque curtain of night that surrounded us. There was a tension in him, a refusal to settle that was uncharacteristic and disconcerting. We tried to reassure him to calm his nerves, but his anxiety only seemed to escalate as the night progressed. His gaze was locked on something beyond the mesh of our tent, something hidden in the impenetrable blackness. His nose twitched, scenting the air as if trying to decipher an invisible puzzle carried on the breeze. Concerned, we followed his line of sight, peering into the void, seeing nothing yet feeling the weight of unseen eyes watching us. The fire crackled and popped, a soothing sound now laced with the sinister whisper of rustling leaves and distant, unidentifiable noises. Something was out there, and even our usually calm pup could sense it. With every leaf rustle and faint noise, our tension escalated. We had decided to investigate the surrounding darkness after our usually calm dog started acting unnervingly distressed. The crisp night air felt heavier as we stepped away from the warmth of our campfire, our flashlight beams cutting through the thick blackness, searching for any sign of movement. We found nothing. No glowing eyes, no shifting shadows, just the endless, oppressive silence of the empty woods. Reluctantly, we returned to the crackling safety of our fire, trying to convince ourselves it was nothing. Maybe it was the wind or a small animal, we thought, trying to laugh off the unease. But then a sudden, sharp growl from our dog shattered the calm. He was fixated, barking ferociously towards a dense thicket. His instincts were in overdrive. Every hair on his back stood straight up as he faced the unseen threat. We clutched the axe and knife tighter, straining our ears against the quiet of the night. The forest seemed to hold its breath with us, waiting for something to emerge. In the pitch black, every sound magnified, every shadow a specter. The darkness seemed to close in around us, a thick blanket of unease settling over the campsite. With our hearts pounding in our chests, we made the decision to turn on the truck's headlights, flooding our small clearing with a harsh, artificial light. The beams cut through the darkness, but the woods beyond remained an impenetrable wall of black. For a moment, there was a semblance of calm. Our elderly dog, usually so placid, laid down at our feet, his eyes slowly closing. But this brief respite was shattered in an instant. His head snapped up, ears perked, and a low growl rumbled from his throat. Something was out there, something he could sense that we could not. We strained our ears, trying to pick out any sound over the pounding of our own hearts. Then it came, a loud snap, like a giant branch breaking underfoot, just 10 feet away in the darkness. It was too close, too real. Panic gripped us as we scrambled back into the truck, the safety of its metal frame a small comfort against the unknown dangers of the night. The dog was not just alert now, he was frantic, barking and growling at the unseen threat. We sat there, breaths held, waiting for a sign, any sign, that it was safe. But the only response was the oppressive silence of the forest. The wilderness was no longer just an idyllic escape, it felt like a hunting ground. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is to choose safety. That night, under the cloak of a pitch-black sky, the decision was made with heavy hearts. Our camp, once a sanctuary of peace, had transformed into a stage for an unseen predator's game. The air was thick with the tension of what lurked just beyond the reach of our campfire light. Earlier, the distant howls of wolves had serenaded the mountain, a haunting melody that now seemed like a dire warning. My partner and I exchanged glances, each shadow in the woods casting 1,000 terrifying possibilities. Could it be a cougar, known to stalk these parts, silent and deadly? The fear was palpable, tightening its grip around us with every rustle, every snap of a twig. With each alert from our little dog, his hackles raised, growling fiercely into the darkness, the decision crystallized. It was time to leave. We packed with trembling hands, our minds racing with the thoughts of what might be watching, waiting. As we drove away, the mocking calls of the wilderness echoed behind us, a chilling reminder of what might have been lurking in the shadows. Back in the safety of civilization, not everyone understood our fear. The warmth of the living room couldn't erase the chill of that night, nor could the laughter of my partner's parents. As we recounted our tale, their faces twisted into smirks, their chuckles undercutting our panic. "You two are too jumpy," my partner's father teased, waving a dismissive hand. It was probably just the wind. The mockery stung, especially when we considered what might have been lurking just beyond our campfire's light. Their skepticism couldn't diminish the real terror we felt, the primal alarm sounded by the dog's growls and hackles. It was a protective instinct, one that we couldn't ignore, not with potential predators encircling us. In that moment, we knew we had made the right choice. The safety of our little dog, the unnerving isolation of the mountain, it all justified our retreat. Despite the taunts, our decision to flee felt like validation rather than defeat. What would you have done in our shoes?